This is SlimTall Talks, episode 7. By the time you see this, it's going to be New Year's. Happy New Year's. It's a blessing to see you make it to a new year, 2024. Big shout out to Executive Suites. This is where we at. And I have something very special today. I'm just very excited. I finally got, not even gonna lie, this guy he shot my lights out. We was playing basketball 3-on-3 and hand all in his face. He still, man, yeah. So introduce yourself, Kev. Let them know who you are, man.
My name is Kevin Coates, from Annapolis, Maryland. Been in Colorado about 13 years and living life in gratitude, man. Living life in gratitude. I love it. I love it, man. Keeping it simple.
Man, from 13 years?
Yeah, 2010, man. Basketball scholarship. Everybody think, I played football, but I was about 30 pounds lighter. So now I just lift and eat donuts and cookies and try to find a balance.
Oh, he's slick with it. He's slick with it. Oh man, you real slick with it. Man, so before we even get started, people need to understand like who you are, so they can understand what you do. So, man, who I am, to shorten it out, man, I'm a man of substance. Okay. I grew up in a very difficult upbringing. Both of my parents struggle with mental health. They struggle with substance use. And I grew up in the stereotypical projects, the hood of Annapolis. And it's not known for the projects, but there's also a place where there's not a lot of hope. Mm-hmm. And so growing up, I was a kid that struggled with that hope as well. And a lot of it had to do with my environment. I'm writing a book right now, and I often describe the two jungles. I had a jungle inside the home, then I had a jungle outside the home. I didn't really get exposed to the jungle outside the home until I got to my teenage years, and I thought inside the home was scary, but outside the home was even more scary, and I didn't have the tools to really navigate the life outside the home, and so I just did the best I could at the time. But I was able to rewire a lot of those horrific things that I saw and I witnessed inside and outside the home, and that led to the journey of becoming a professional self-awareness coach. And so that's what I do, is I help people rewire their psyches from trauma, like I had to do. So yeah, it's a beautiful thing. I love it. Dedicate my life to the cause of mental health. Man, I ain't gonna lie. First of all, we gotta get a round of applause because
I appreciate it.
Most people don't even like talk about mental health. Definitely in the African American industry. Yeah. I mean, African American. Like, what made you want to take a stand on just you being the person that's like going to be on the forefront of actually expressing it?
Man, it was life and death. It was life and death for me. It was a situation where everyone around me were dying quick, early and young. And I had to ask myself, I was about 15 when I started to really ask myself these self-awareness questions, which I didn't know at the time that's what they were, but it was like, what do you want out of this life? And the two likely outcomes, considering where I came from what I was seeing, it was either dead or in jail. And I'm like, well, I don't want those results.
Right.
I don't want those results. So now I have to behave, I have to think in ways that will not get me those results. And that was hard because I didn't have the guidance, I didn't have the tools, I didn't have the education, I didn't have the wherewithal to figure out how. But one thing I did have was the courage, the strength, and the willingness to take a risk on being different. And so I think what really played a part in me being able to rewire myself was that I didn't have to fit in. Okay. I didn't have to fit in. It was so important as a black teenager to not need the latest fashion stuff or to go out and party or anything like that. I just had to figure out how to love myself and how to be me. And that was hard because, everything around me was about partying, drinking, drugs, selling dope, everything. And to try and survive that, you're different. So, at this point in my life, I've never smoked or drank a day in my life.
Wow,
And
that's big, man.
That's no slight to anybody that has, but that was one of the first realizations for me. Was like, okay, well, if I indulge into this kind of behavior, I see what these outcomes look like. I see what's coming. Now I just have to be strong enough to not partake in those behaviors and get my joy and my celebration differently. And it was hard. It was hard, man.
No, first of all, not smoking or drinking is very hard. But like, cause I also came from, I won't say it was bad, like no projects or anything, but I came from a little small town called Titusville, Florida, and East Mims. It's like 5 miles from each other. And I was also in an upbringing where, luckily I had my mom and dad. I had them, but all my friends and cousins was either going to prison or they getting killed, and it was and I relate to you by being different, and I was always called the church boy, the tall boy, the weird boy, you know what I'm saying? So for example, I finally made it out, like, because it don't matter what place you're in, it's hard to make it out your hometown. And for me, my outlet was sports. I played every sports from basketball, football, track. You know what I'm saying? Some I was good, some I wasn't. Football, basketball is more like I actually can go somewhere, but football, because of the height and size, it was just easier for me. And I remember it was a decision. It was like 2013, whatever, and it was like, either you're gonna stay home and go to community college, and every time somebody tries to stay home and go to community college, they never finish. It's
crazy you say that. I did that. I did that, man. I went to community college. I dropped out too.
See?
I dropped out, but I went back. But I just wanted to say, the odds are slim. Don't get me wrong. They're slim.
I just really think it's just too much going on. And I really think that you got to get outside your environment to see who you are, who you really are to thrive. And for me, I was so sheltered. I was, going to church and stuff like that. But it was like, church was nice, church was cool, but you still got to go out there in that world. You still got to face it. You know what I mean? And have to relate back to what you learned in church to make it through. And for me, I was just like, oh, okay. I couldn't really, I ain't gonna lie, my parents had me on lockdown, honestly, because all my best friends growing up, we were not in a bad area, but it's just the fact that at where we at, there's nothing to do for a young black man at that time. It was either sports or you're a dope man. And at the time, I'm not even gonna lie to you, man, the dope man, they were winning, man. They look like they were, from the outside looking, they look like they winning until I start understanding what they go through.
That instant gratification.
Man, what I'm talking about, man, they had the nicest cars, they had the best looking girls, and I was just like...
Shoes, everything.
Shoes, man.
Every material you can think of.
Man, I gotta tell you this story, man. It still messes me up. I'm playing football, right? Girl in the stands, I'm looking up, okay, she got it there, right? So, it's like 3rd and something. I look up. Shawty ain't there no more. I said, it's 3rd quarter. I still gotta stay focused. So all right, boom. So after the game in, I go, hey mom, what happened to such and such? My mom looked at me like, you know your mom give you that look like, yeah, she was there, but
she was here to start.
Yeah, but I don't know where she went. So
she finished.
I see her at the end, like, yo, what's going on? She was a neighborhood dope boy. He like twice their age. You know how it is. I don't want to get in there, but man, he had a pink Pontiac on floaters. Man, she was like, oh, whatever. Well, I said, how you gonna come with me about to leave? And that's when I realized, I was like, yo, either there gotta be more to this, man. Because at that moment, I could have been like, you know what, man, forget football, dog. man, the dope man about to take my girl, man, I need to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like I could have easily, I could easily went over there and did that. Mm-hmm. But the thing that helped me to make it out was going back to, you know, my faith and staying strong. And I finally made it out and went to community college in Kansas, middle of nowhere. But yeah, that's how I made it out. How did you make it out?
You know, I'm biased, man. Self-awareness. I'm biased. If it wasn't for, and I take people on this journey now where we analyze the way you think, then we analyze the behaviors you take from the way you think, and then we get to the result. And so I'll give you a perfect example. Many of my days in my youth, I would be on a step or hanging out on the fence, you know, and there's drug dealers around, and not everybody sold drugs, but we were just there. Our families never had vision and never had the means to plan for vacations, and we didn't go to the park, and you know, we didn't do anything like that. And I remember I would just sit around, man, and I would see a dude one day, next day he's dead or he in jail. And I just remember thinking, like, how did this person get to this result? And then I would reflect, man, I was just around that dude. They were talking about robbing. They were talking about doing things that got them that result. And then going deeper, why did they felt that they had to carry out this behavior? Low self-esteem, low self-worth. They had some of the scariest people to be around when you're in like the projects in the hood. Is a person that does not value who they are in their own life. Man, I'm telling you, you can look into their soul and it'll be empty. And they have no value of self, and they just might take you with them, whether it be through drugs or, you know, using different means. And I just remember as a kid, man, I never wanted those results. I wanted more. I didn't know what more would be. I didn't know if it would turn into college. But sports played a big part. Basketball definitely got me through a lot. Playing 6-7 hours a day, low tops, jeans, just whenever, just so I can escape. And just really being around that, analyzing the way people maneuvered. I came up also with, you can take the thoughts, behaviors, results, which is the first part of like my coaching program. And we can do something what I call backwards discovery.
Ooh,
and what you so backwards discovery, and I think this may be even the easiest. You take the result and then you go backwards to the behavior and then down to the thought. So instead of going thoughts, behaviors, results, you can go, man, look, I'm incarcerated, or I don't have money. Go down to what am I doing daily, weekly, or what have I done daily or weekly that got me to this result. And then you can go, the hardest part is the thoughts, man, because thoughts are not necessarily tangible. You know, people can smile but be empty, right? And if you take happiness, anger, and then empty, we're going to choose to feel anger or happiness before we ever choose emptiness. Because emptiness is where you get that depression and that suicide ideation. So when you get someone who's really empty, they have nothing to live for, they may be a life taker, whether it be their own or somebody else's. And that's tricky. That's tricky to mess around with, man.
That's funny you say that, because like now that you say it, a lot of stuff is keying up. Cause I remember my homeboy be like, I lay down. And I was like, and like every time somebody say that, I go, wait, what do you mean lay down? I lay down, bro. Like, bro, about mine, bro, I gonna do 10. I said, what, 10 where?
Yeah. 10? Not 10 push-ups on the sand at the beach.
No, he's like 10 years. Yeah, bro, I lay down, good behavior, get out and sit. And I didn't realize, I was like, in my brain, I was like, that's dumb. Like, I don't, what?
Learn behavior, man. If you learn not to value yourself, you will, and you talk and behave accordingly. It's simple, yet it's very complex.
And sure enough, he laid down.
Yep.
He laid down.
10 plus.
It went, well, over the time, it was about almost a 10, you know, give or take. just being in the system,
and
then to this day, he was like, bro, I want to come visit you. But he said, but you know, I can't get out in the city because there's no parole and stuff. And I keep telling him, I was like, man, you know what? Life is so much bigger than what you see it is, man. Outside these county lines.
And I think that's what we, as a culture of not only black people, but you know, as we're talking about black men, we don't have that vision. We weren't taught to have that vision. A lot of the times we come from dysfunctional homes, and a dysfunctional environment often is going to breed a dysfunctional environment within itself. And it's without awareness, right? So this is just what I do. I've always done it this way. And so it's a pattern of comfort, and sometimes that pattern of comfort, it might be behaviors towards prison, and you just keep getting out and doing the same thing. It's all you know. But those who really make it through, they've either come across some information, a good network, good mentor, somebody that they respect, somebody that they look up to, and they want something different. But it's hard, man. It's mud work, man. It's dirty work to actually work at yourself and look in the mirror and really be like, look, I'm tired of the same shit, tired of the same stuff. I want something different, you know. When people don't understand the power of the ego, whew, man, they get in trouble with all their relationships.
Really? Explain that, because I need to hear this. Go ahead.
The ego will be that little thing on your shoulder when someone disrespects you, or when you're in a relationship and someone says something you don't like, and you want to get back at them. You got to win. I can't let you win. I got to win. I gotta have the last word. I gotta be right. I gotta be strong. I can't be weak. And I think, you know, as black men,
those are powerful words you just said.
Man, we can't be weak. So we ain't going there. You know.
Why are we like this? Why can't we show? Because last night I had this argument. I don't know. It wasn't an argument. Actually, it was a discussion. I like to listen.
Heated discussion.
I like to listen. Yeah. It wasn't really my discussion. They were just talking out loud, but they want me to chime in. And this is what I got. I got men's. They were saying men's are being too soft. So and I was really torn between the two, because we are finally showing that we do have problems. Everything is not okay. Yeah. And I'm going to tell you what's bothering me. But now I won't say, I mean, I got to be careful how to say this, but sometimes, what they use that word? He looks razzy. What was the word they're using? They're trying to say, basically trying to say sissy.
Man, you call it how it is.
Yeah.
It's short.
Yeah, it's the same thing. They just put a different word.
You got the P on it.
And I was just like, it became like a little fab. You see, it's like, oh yeah, that's a little ritzy. They like to say whatever it is. And I was just like, dang, like when he actually showing you, putting his guard down, showing you who he really is. Now when he was tough and wanna, he don't spend no time with me. He all about his this and that. And I was like, so I said, I was going back and forth with the lady, and I was just like, what do y'all want? You know what I'm saying? But I know that's a whole different subject, but I'm really excited just to hear guys actually just talking about their feelings. Just the first and foremost, talking about their feelings.
You know, I'll say this, man. Men as a, species, however you want to put it, gender, whatever, we can sit here and denote vulnerability as weakness. Yeah. But often not connected to the fact that anger is an often expression of emotion and quick to go there. Don't get our way, right? So you have, whether it's a man that abuses a woman or a man that's not available for their kid or whatever, they're always using emotion. Always using emotion. Okay. Right? And so as long as you're alive, you're going to be using emotions. Right. Now, if the space is safe enough, and I think that's something that's going around a lot is creating a space of safety. But even if the space is safe, if a man doesn't have the awareness and can't identify the emotion that they're experiencing within, often they can't find the words to express what it is.
Repeat that one more time, man. Repeat that one more time.
So if they're not able to understand the emotion that's inside of them, they don't know how to find the words to express. So you'll hear a catchphrase is like, I'm feeling some kind of way, but I don't know what it is. I can't pinpoint it. I don't know what the right word is, you know. For me as a coach, it's easier because I've done the work, the research, you know, and certifications and everything. I can pull out, man, you're sad. And often anger is just prolonged sadness. So like people, I remember I had a young boy, he was just like, man, I'm so angry, you know. And you can see in his mannerisms that he would be angry. He would clench his fists and everything, right? And I just looked at him, I said, what's hurting you, man? What's going on? And that anger, you could just see it like go down, and then the tears came. And it's just prolonged sadness. He was never able to express when he felt sad, when he felt low. And often we get frustrated, man. We get frustrated when we can't express how we truly feel. And also when we're in the presence of other people who love us and they're not available. And so that's emotional availability. That's a whole nother can of worms that I think we in our culture, we just don't know. You know, we don't really know what emotional availability means. And so our kids, they grow up and they internalize it. They just keep it close to them. Why? Why express it if it's not going to be seen, heard, and understood? There's no point. And then it's like making a snowball turn into a snowman, you know.
So what would be what would be something that can help a young man to express himself, even though we feel like he's not getting hurt?
You know, when we're talking about kids and teenagers, man, I think if you are a caregiver of any sort, if you are a teacher or even in the professional world of being like a therapist or of some sort, if you are in the care of another teenager or child per se, it is imperative that this space is safe. It's imperative that when we sit down, you have to give the undivided attention to that individual. You have to be curious about what's on their heart and their mind. And also make sure they don't feel judged. Make sure that whatever they express, man, the hundreds of people, thousands of people I've been in front of, I've been told some of the worst. Raped by dad, all that stuff, right?
Right.
Depending on my energy
and
how I respond, they will either continue to share or they'll just clam up.
Oh, they shut down.
Because it's not safe. And often people are not going to keep going back to therapies and working with people if they're going and they're feeling judged and they're feeling invalidated and they're not feeling seen and they're not feeling supported. Why? Why would I go to a place where it's supposed to be safe and I come out feeling like, man, damn, I felt judged.
Right.
You know, I felt judged.
So how do because everybody got family members. So I became somewhere somehow because I feel like our demeanor's kind of saying nice, calm, collected. You know what I'm saying? Like, of course we get angry, but it takes a lot for us to get angry, right? So I became an outlet to many of my siblings and cousins and friends, right? Yeah. And one thing I noticed when you said that, like, when I just listened to them, and I just, you know, I learned this from my great grandma. Like when you talk to her, she just go, like she don't say anything.
She's just listening, man. Yeah, she just.
And just by listening alone, it really helped their self-esteem. That's just from my perspective. I really just seen them like from a dark place to like there's a little light in the tunnel. They can start seeing it.
Yeah.
And I always tell them, you know, another thing I want to talk about is like, I always tell them no matter what, my boys, friends, I was like, man, you love, man, or love. I just say the love word, because there's so many people not even heard the word love, or don't even know when to use it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Some people abuse it.
Yeah.
And I always like, hey, let me know when you get home and stuff like we go out, like, man, love. Because I always hear this, you know, when things, you know, something happen. Oh man, I never told him I love him. I never tell him. So after that, man, I really try to take my time, listen to them, and then at the end, I tell them they are love or love, just any of that. So I just want some advice from you as far as like, how do we get people to go see people like you? What do you suggest without them feeling judgmental? Do I just be like, hey man, just give this guy a call, or like, do you think that would be, like, explain to me, like, what do you think would be best to ask for help?
You know, it's going to be situation dependent, as you probably are aware. Anytime you're thinking about getting help mentally, I think societally people see it as a step to get better and not a way to help prevent. So therapy, coaching, and all that is a means to be used as reactionary stuff, right? So I have an issue, you should go see somebody. But honestly, man, it never hurts to use it as a preventative thing.
So you're saying being proactive?
Being proactive.
Proactive.
Yes, being proactive. Right?
Okay.
And sometimes it does not take much to be here one day and then be depressed next week. Because life will continue to deliver blows and adversity, right? But in terms of going to see a professional, if you can change your paradigm and see it in a way of, you know what, I want to go and learn some tools on how to attack life, because I tend to be more anxious, or I tend to get angry easily, as opposed to letting your anger fester relationship after relationship, family after family, and then doing something and it blows up and you're like, damn, and now you're court ordered for anger management or whatever the case may be. And so I think understand that it can be used as a proactive and preventative technique and experience to help you get through some of the challenges that are going to come, because they're going to happen.
Right.
I mean, they're going to happen, man. I wanted to share something with you about love.
Okay,
there's two stories, man. I was at a men's group about 3 weeks ago. Actually, it wasn't even a men's group, but it was just a group of some of my older friends. And one of the guys who said he just got out of a depressive place from a divorce, and he spoke to his sister, and she always says, instead of rest in peace, rest in love, is what she says. And that just stuck with me, rest in love.
Okay.
And so that was the first thing, rest in love. And the second one is, man, I had this teenager I've been coaching, and one of the pivotal parts of why this teenager experiences depression and low self-esteem and self-debilitated thoughts, self-sabotage, everything, right? All the way up to ideations. My dad is never present. I said, what do you mean? She goes, well, we're on the phone, and when we get off the phone, he always says, love you. And she goes, God damn it, I just wish he said, I love you. And I said, hold on. I said, you're telling me that I makes a difference? She goes, hell yeah. I said, so if he said, I love you, what would that do for you? She goes, it would do a whole lot in terms of how I feel about myself. And so I was like, I love you versus love you. So I thought about that, and I processed that like quite a bit. And I shared it at another speech I gave, man, and let's think about that.
Okay.
When we want someone to know we care about them, what do we say? Man, I care about you.
Yeah.
When we want them to know that we believe in them, what do we say? Man, I believe in you.
Right.
But we say love you now more than we say, man, I love you.
Right.
Why do we take the I away from love you, but we put it in front of, man, I care about you, I believe in you? How would it sound and how would it feel if somebody said, man, Rashad, believe in you, care about you? You're like, what does that mean? But we always put the I in front of I care about you, I believe in you, but we leave the I out when love is there. That's how powerful love is.
Ooh, that's
nice. How powerful love is, man, because when you're on the phone or when you're talking to someone and you say, I love you, that's vulnerability. It takes away the broad variation of love you just out there. Love is out there too. I'm here.
Yeah.
I love you.
Right.
And so that stuck with me, and I was like, that would make a difference in her self-esteem, confidence, ideation is for her father to say, I love you. And then follow it up with, of course, behavior in accordance with the word. But we get off the phone now, we text each other, love you. I'm going to tell you, for people who are watching, I want you to practice putting I love you and saying it more often. Not pay attention to how the response is going to be, but I want you to pay attention to the awareness of how you feel when you say I love you to, not necessarily your spouse, but to your kid or somebody you don't normally say it to. Maybe you got a relative where y'all like, cool.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, man, I'll see you later, love you. But no, say I love you and see how you feel. I'm telling you, I practice that, man, and it hits different.
Wow.
It does. It hits different when you put I love you there, man. And then to build a routine around it, man, you walking in a place of discomfort. Man. But it's a beautiful discomfort because, on the receiving end, man, that person gets off the phone and they leave the experience feeling like there's somebody in this world that loves me. Oh. There's somebody that loves me. It actually fights that emptiness. And it fights that. So, yeah, man.
That's a good challenge, y'all. That's a great challenge. Because I was just saying love, love, because I get off my friends and stuff like that, and I can tell, I can feel it, because they know I'm about to say it. Mm-hmm. They already all right, they already uncomfortable, right? So I don't care, because I still going to let them know, but I'm going to change it and say,
that's how you truly feel, right? I want you to know, it's crazy because when I've been through a lot of funerals, that I love you doesn't become valuable until you look at that person in the casket. Oof. That's why I do what I do. Is for me, who I am is I'm someone that's really connected to something deeper in his life. When you go through a lot of death, I was telling you, man, when I got to Colorado, I remember writing down names and people I had experienced throughout my teenage life and my childhood. I was 21 years old, and there was 20 people dead and gone I had known, played ball with, all kinds of different experiences, and there was so much grief, unmanaged grief, unaware grief, right. And I had survivor's guilt because the scholarship out here saved my life. My cousin was murdered. He called me the night he was murdered. I didn't answer my phone, but that's not anything that I carry with me, as a burden. It was just a really, really hard learning lesson about the value of relationships and people in your life that you love. Right. So remember to tell people that you love them.
That's big, because, I had something similar, but they didn't die, but something happened, tragic happened to them, and I felt that guilt. Yeah. I felt that guilt for probably, guilt, I'm talking about, probably a couple years until I started really praying, and then one day out of nowhere, it was just like it was a random. It was a lady. It was weird. I was literally a lady I did not know. I was at Planet Fitness in Rockledge, Florida, and I was just working out. I didn't know what I was going to do with my life because I was doing arena football, and it was crazy. And so the girl I was with at the time, it backfired. So I was just sitting there. It was right before I moved here. And this lady said, "Hey, that guilt that you have, it ain't got nothing to do with you." Yeah. It was like she already knew my story. I promise you, I never knew. I had my headphones in there.
Frequencies and energies, man. Those are things, man.
She said, "Don't worry about that. Keep moving on. The thing that happened to her was not your issue. Some people put themselves in that situation, but use you as an outlet." And I was like, it didn't dawn on me. I heard it. Yeah. But I didn't receive the message. I don't know. Because you hear things, but you don't process it because you don't want to really think about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I didn't really want to think about it at the time because I'm like, nah, that was my fault. I should have answered the phone. But I was in college. You feel me?
Yeah.
I was in college, I was way...
You could have answered the phone.
Yeah.
And it still
could have happened.
You know, it's
right.
It's,
or it could have been afterwards because...
Yeah.
And I finally, like, when I finally came to peace with it and that... And then later, she was like, yeah, that wasn't your fault. But I'm so happy that I went through it and actually forgave myself for that.
Forgiveness.
Yeah, and that's the biggest.
That's another one.
That's the biggest thing. You got to forgive yourself for your actions or lack of.
Yeah, 100%.
And that was the biggest thing. And then once I start doing that, the funniest story is I start putting my energy into this.
Okay.
And that's how everything. Cause I was so angry, like you said, I was so angry. I was like, man, how that could happen to? That was my girl. How can that happen to her? I should have been there. I could have been there. I just got out of the game. I couldn't be there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when I had all that, I had all that guilt. I had all that guilt, and what I did was I mustered that, and I put it into my my business.
Yeah.
And like everything I had going on, I had my teammate that he called me, and like a couple days later he passed. He was supposed to come visit me, and I just used that and I put it in my brand, and still to this day, the reason why I go so hard is because I'm gonna make sure, by the grace of God, that I will give his mom a home.
I got
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the only reason why he went back home. So, and I'm just picking up the torch, and I'm just making sure she get her house.
Yeah.
Like I've been told her, I ain't even had no
That's
money.
Beautiful, man.
I ain't had no money, man. I literally called her. I said, hey, Miss Harris, just gonna call to let you know you're gonna get your house. And what you were saying, she broke down crying. But I didn't understand it. It was just something that I knew I felt I should have done, or going to do. But for her, that slither of hope made everything that she was going through. Because I didn't know she was going through because you know how black women are. Just any woman, it don't really matter. But they try to be so strong, but they're so fragile. So when I said that, she just broke down and she was like, I believe you. And that was, in a way, that was almost saying like, somebody sees me, somebody trusted me, somebody's going to pick up my burden, and for us to come and just to talk about like things like that, people don't talk about it, man.
No, they don't.
Like that real why, not that like that sounds good,
right?
But like that real why. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying, yeah.
And I just really appreciate it, and I just really want more of guys to really just start talking. Because I go to this Bible study, Bible study at Brave Church, and from the outside looking in, right?
Yeah.
Everybody looks good. Everybody looks good, right? Hey. Then when people start talking, you can hear the pain. When you start looking in the eyes, you start seeing like this little shadow. And I was just like, I did testimony, and I said, hey, I'm very appreciative of this group. To have mans in the same place, just talking about anything, honestly, and not trying to hurt each other or ego trip. Remember about the ego, it's huge. I said because this really helped me. I went from highs and lows that year, but when I was with them, everything helped me because they showed me the way. They said, "Oh, don't worry about it; it'll get better." You know what I'm saying? And I felt love at that time. Where my emptiness at, I felt love, and that kept helping me to push on and get more love out. Yeah. So, I guess my question is like, what can we do? Yeah. What besides I love you? That's a huge step. Yeah. What can we do to further to help individuals out here to just express themselves and just know they are loved? Like, what can we do? Like,
I saw one of your questions was resources. Growing up for me, we had the computer lab.
Oh yeah, I remember
right?
that
Computer lab, right?
Yeah.
But we never had anything around self-worth building, right? We never had anything that targeted building the self. When you become a teenager, you go from 10 years old, you get to 15, and you're really in the prime of your exploration of who you are, who you're going to become. And in those neighborhoods, there were no programs or anything to help us get more in alignment with who we were, expression. Didn't have the means. So I think having more resources targeted specifically towards expressing the self, learning about the self for teens is pivotal. And it shouldn't be, and I've worked in residential treatment facilities, it shouldn't be just in those spaces. A teenager shouldn't have to go to a treatment facility to have a group. That shouldn't be a thing. I think within these communities, but also, man, we don't have a lot of people that look like us that are professionals in this field.
Oh, that's deep.
I can't tell you I've met another. My specialty is self-awareness, but I haven't met another black man in over 10 years that love it like I do. I've seen women, it's beautiful, but we don't have a lot of black men who have gone through something and then came out on the other side. I'm not saying there's not any out there, but we just don't have enough examples of like, hey, look, man, you can get through this. Right. I've been through X, Y, and Z. These are the steps I've taken. And true story, I don't necessarily look or speak like what I've been through, because I'm big into my growth. Right. I do things different now than when I was younger.
Right.
Yeah.
That's huge, man. That's really huge, because resources would be great. So what do we have in Colorado or Denver? What type of resources do we have, or what can we have, or what you got in mind, like?
As far as what, black men?
Just
mental health?
Mental health, just regular.
I think groups are helpful, but not everybody's fit for a group. I'm always here, of course. I'm always here. I'm taking new clients and everything. But what I've learned to be a challenge is this kind of work, man. It is long and it is hard. It's not fun. It's not fun. To look in the mirror and try to dissect, like, damn, why does my life suck, or why do I keep having these unfortunate results, or whatever. That's heavy. Yeah. And so I think, if you're gonna have a group or anything, you want to make it enjoyable. But in all reality, man, for me to be where I'm at, this work is hard. Right. It's not easy, man. It's not easy. And I would suggest, as a black man speaking to other black men, right, it is so important to learn about the human behavior and how the brain works.
Ooh, you're the second person I heard about this.
Man, okay. I can't. I started in psychology and I went into business and I got my degree in business. But I still am an avid learner of human behavior and the evolution of how our brains evolved, down to reward systems, attachment styles, you name it. I study this stuff. Vicarious trauma, right. All that stuff, man. Secondary trauma. Becoming educated around how human behavior, how the brain operates, man, it changed everything for me. I was pre-diabetic in my mid-20s, and I realized that I was eating my stress. I had a very substantial executive position. I was a boss of quite a few people, but I wasn't happy where I was at, and I would eat my stress. So if you think about our community, we always have a lot of stress. We either don't have enough to, for food, shelter, clothing. Therefore, we have poor our nutritional behaviors, because we want, we're gonna buy what's cheap. Let's be real. We need something in the house,
Yeah.
If I got to survive off of high sugar, high sodium food, then it's better than nothing.
Yeah.
And it's cheap.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the reality of it. So I grew up with that, and becoming educated around all of this stuff, man, it really changed the game for me and my habits, and ultimately my life. And that was the connected to something deeper part. Like, my habits were killing me, but I was born into these learned behaviors,
Right.
And at a deeper level, honestly, it's all survival. As a black man, as a man in general, right, you're to be the provider, the protector, all that, right, as a man.
Right.
Now, when you're a black man, there's another element. You have to learn how to survive.
Ooh.
So where I grew up, the scariest thing for me, true story, and it changed in Colorado. The only thing that ever brought me any fear, that made me have to get on guard and alert, wasn't the cops, wasn't another white man, it wasn't a terrorist, it was another black man. And so I would purposely never greet a black man. I wouldn't look his way. Because where I grew up, it was a dude that looked like me that had the potential to kill me. But I also understand why he would kill me, because I was in tune with his psyche. We just lived in that jungle. We both had to eat, we had to survive. And so when you go through environments like that, it shifts your psychology to where you are the threat. It ain't him or anybody else, you the threat. You the one I see pulling the trigger, robbing, stabbing. Somebody, it's not a female, it's you. I didn't know that was happening to me though. I didn't know that. I didn't know that until I got to Colorado and I'm walking in Walmart and I could see an older black gentleman that looked like a professor, like he was Mr. Rogers or something. I'm like, man, I ain't even giving him no energy. And I'm like, hold on. Like, what's going on? Like, where is that coming from? We in the same boat. To society, you and I walk down Walmart in the street, they're gonna think that we about to do something we shouldn't be doing. But you and I, at the purity of our hearts, we full of love.
Yeah.
It's not the truth of what we look like. I have 13 tattoos, and the 14th is my skin.
Yeah.
Biggest tattoo I walk around with. So you gotta learn how to embrace it. Gotta learn how to embrace it, man. Yeah. And so we're beautiful humans, but those environments, man, environments of all sorts, when they have dysfunction, they shape us in ways that create chaos inside, man. And we're only gonna live from what we're familiar with.
Man, you really blew me away. You say you didn't greet other black men?
Oh yeah.
Was it? I don't mean to cut you off. Like, was it cause like where I'm from, we don't really look people in their eyes. Right, unless we have an issue.
And see, that's
you
it,
know
right?
What I'm saying? And so we will constantly be like, we'll do that real quick and keep it moving.
It's like a size up too.
Yeah,
it's a cue, like what you want.
Yeah, so if you stare too long, but if you break it down like that, I definitely see what your issue.
People in the outside world, they don't think like that.
Yeah,
because they have never been in an environment where just the way you're looking at me could put me or him 6 feet deep. That's how serious this is.
Wow. Since you say it like that, I understand.
Man, that's just really what it is. I can't sugarcoat it anymore. Like I have lost people over the most ridiculous things, man.
Right.
But as a culture, man, we gotta do better. But I understand why it's hard, man. We've been fighting, trying to get out of this hole from being oppressed. For so long.
Yeah.
Which, when you're in survivor's mode all the time, and I think that's what a lot of black men are always in. My father, he's been grinding since he was 12 years old, because his mother passed away when he was young. His father was a abusing alcoholic, so he's just been grinding in his late 50s now just to keep roof over his head, clothes on his back, right? And money in his pocket.
Regular necessities.
There's no vision of ownership right? That's why we don't own much. We're so busy in survival that any vacation, ownership, enjoying life, fulfillment, abundance, I just need to survive.
I got to touch on that.
I just need to survive, man.
I got to touch on that. You know, my first vacation was Baltimore, right?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, my first vacation. Like,
Baltimore on a vacation?
I
came back.
I went to Baltimore Harbor. I was staying on there in the Marriott right next to the Four Seasons.
Okay.
All right? That was my first vacation, self-love.
No doubt.
And I realized how much, because I kept hearing about it, but I didn't know what it means. Because usually I go visit for something.
Yeah.
I literally went to, don't ask me why I went to Baltimore, but I went to Baltimore.
Hey.
I went to Baltimore and I said, I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you know what? I don't know what the city like, you know what I'm saying? Because, again, I didn't know how. I was like, you know, I don't want to start now with with the people. So I said, you know what? At the end of the day, I'm going to be myself.
Mm-hmm.
But I am going to stay in a nice, at least a nice area, nicest area it can be.
Yeah, anywhere you go, you want to,
Right.
Yeah, you're going to enjoy yourself, not to be in places that could potentially bring harm to you.
Exactly.
Right,
So
yeah.
I went out there. It was a lot of love. I see it was a lot of love, but I see like it was crazy because Baltimore was just, it's a beautiful, but it's like concrete jungle. And I didn't understand what they were talking about with like concrete jungle because Florida, we got grass and all that. And I was looking, I was like, what a tree is that?
Yeah.
The only trees I saw was at university down there.
I mean, it's a city. Me, I'm from Minneapolis. It's 30 minutes. It's a smaller city. But whether you're from Baltimore or DC or whatever, if you're black and you don't have the means to enjoy life, more than likely you're just living in survival. And the thing about living in survival, man, it is a hard life.
It is.
Living in survival, that's why we call it the jungle. Let's take a jungle, right? You have predator prey, right? You have your apex predators,
right.
and that's what it is in the jungle. You got your dope dealers, you got people who may have more, and it's just that, but you never know what's going to happen day to day.
No, you don't. It changes.
You never know what's going to happen week to week, and so you're always in survival.
Man, it's because like when I went there, man, first of all, y'all food is phenomenal.
Love the seafood.
The food was phenomenal. I went to like Miss K's. I went to like all over there, and then I met somebody, and they're like, "Oh, you want to go to like the mall? Or you want to go to the mall?" I was like, so we went to the mall. Like it was kind of hood, like whatever. So I went in there. And it was a good time. But I do the dynamic change.
Yeah.
It went from like I was just super happy to I was like, oh okay, start doing one of these. You know what I mean? Just
cautious.
Yeah, just become a little cautious. You know what I'm saying? And then like I could just see the difference from like I went from like a little bit of trash to trash was everywhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I went in the mall and it was some really good people. Like I ran to the older gentleman and I was like, hey man, let me get a hat. I said I want a 47. The man said, you mean you want a dad hat, man? You want a dad hat? I was like, bro, I don't know that lingo. We just call it a 47. That's what it is. Right. Yeah, it's a 47 adjustable hat. You're like, nah, that's a dad hat, man. This man want a dad hat. I was like, but I had a good time, man. I had a really good time. I went out. I was there for like 4 days. I really enjoyed myself.
Yeah.
And what I was trying to get at was like, when people were asking me like, what you doing here? What you doing here? And I was like, I'm on vacation. They're like, you on vacation here?
Yeah, you came here.
Yeah, they're like, really?
Yeah.
And I was like, man, it was my first time really showing self-love to myself. Just telling myself, I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
I see what you've been going through. I see the things you're doing, and I'm proud of you. And we're gonna stay at this just you.
Yeah.
It was like 400 a night, 300 a night. I didn't care. Man, different experience. It was like, hello, Mr. Jackson.
I got you.
Here's your towels.
Made you feel special.
Yeah, bro. And we need that, man.
Yeah.
And I go talk to my boys back home. They don't even understand it.
So that part, right? When you have a standard of living for yourself, and if you don't have a higher value system, so values are something else that I am huge on.
Right.
For any human, but especially as a man and a black man, is what are your top 5 values? What do you value about yourself and your life? A person who has no awareness of their values, they can fall victim to any and everything. And kids are most impressionable with that, you know. But when you don't, like, so for example, I value gratitude, connection, communication. So all my friends, those who know me, know I'm a big communicator. I communicate, you know, flawlessly as best I can. Not perfect at all, but I have no problem saying I'm sorry, or I have no problem speaking up if I'm like, yeah, you know, I don't really agree with that.
Right.
But you know what you're getting from me. And there's a lot of people who are lost because they don't know what they value. And it's just not in our culture. And so I do believe that in our environments, man, we really can help our young black men finding a sense of worth through what's important to them, learning how to have boundaries. And I just think we do need better caregiving. That cycle of, I got one for you, it's gonna trip you out, man.
Okay.
I'm in a residential treatment facility.
Okay.
This was just like, wow. I had young teenage gang members. I had one kid, he was 16, had been shot 4 times.
Jeez.
Stabbed twice.
Okay.
So I'm in this environment as their milieu counselor. And I just would sit there, and whenever they wanted the other kid to know that they were serious about something, they always said, "On my mama."
I want to say it, yeah. On my mama.
On my mama.
Yeah.
And I was like, and the damn thing to do with dad.
Yeah, no.
Had nothing to do with that. It was always on my mom. Here's the thing. Sometimes the moms was even smuggling in drugs. Like, it was still on my mom. I'm like, we got to do better as dads. Because I got kids in a residential facility going through some of the worst of their life. And in their minds, subconsciously, they cannot rely on their dad. Not even psychologically for safety. And I was like, and so then we wonder why these young teenagers keep becoming X, Y, and Z, whether it's a criminal, whatever it may be. And I'm listening, I'm like, on my mama. Man, so there's something to being nurtured and cared for from a female. We don't necessarily always have that in us, but we can access that.
Yeah.
I have a 7-year-old daughter, man. I'm soft and gentle with her, but I'm also stern and respectful with her as well. I can access that, you know, hey, baby girl, I love you. You know, I can be soft with her and gentle.
Right.
I don't have to be.
Yeah.
I ain't got to be dad.
Right.
Or man.
Yeah.
Toxic masculinity, you know, in some cases, man. But I think we can do better as black men with being there and being emotionally available. But you don't know what you don't know, man. You know, sometimes you just don't know what you don't know.
That's huge. I never. The way you dissect that was amazing. Cause I never. Cause that's the thing that I used to hear growing up. No matter what, on my mama. You know, either my mama, my homie, whatever. It was never my dad. I never heard my.
You don't even sound right.
Sound foreign.
There you go.
I never heard nobody say, "On my granddad." Oh, they'll say my great grandma. They'll say anything, but anything with a D. Nothing with the dad. And when you said that makes so much sense. A lot of things could be prevented if we just step up. In a way, we're supposed to step up.
You got to break the cycle. Look, I'm gonna be real with you. I didn't have the worst upbringing. I didn't have the best. I just had the upbringing that was unique to my life, and it's a situation where there's always going to be trauma.
Wow.
Some people got it worse, but the most important thing is how you respond to that trauma. And when you do preventative work, like trying to understand why your relationships always fall through or why everything is so toxic, man, you can break cycles. not every kid has to grow up without a father or without a parent that doesn't care. You can be that change, but everybody's dynamic is different, and sometimes we just have to be mindful and be in the moment and not in the past or in the future.
Ooh.
And that's hard for a lot of people.
That is very hard.
You can't get away from the past if you're not in the moment. You can't get to the future if you're not in the moment. And so that mindfulness is important.
You know what? That's really good. That's really good. Tell me, where do you see yourself as a company, as let's just say as your company?
Mm-hmm.
Where do you see your company doing in 5 years? What's your goal?
Recently, man, I had this thought that I may want to build self-awareness clinics throughout the country. Now, I don't have exactly the details of what that looks like, but I do believe that more people could benefit from being more aware of themselves. Flaws, the beauty, the ugliness, just as open and authentic as they can be. I value authenticity, I value substance, and I think those are where the best connections are made. But society and life, man, and social media, they can pull you in so many different directions. And while they're pulling you in different directions, man, they pull you away from yourself if you don't have a strong foundation of self. And so when you can have a foundation of who you are, man, you can withstand, many, many storms that's going to come.
Right.
So, yeah.
Dang, so he's saying he's going to self-awareness. Self-awareness clinics. Like how many do you want to do?
Start with one.
Start with one and see what happens from there. I don't know exactly what that looks like, but I just remember having this vision of you have your buzzwords, but just to see like self-awareness on the building, I was like, that's appetizing for me. Because I see someone coming in, leaving out, and they're like, man, I'm more in alignment with who I am and where I want to go in the direction of my life. Or I'm more aligned with, I have these habits that don't serve me the way I want life to go. Right.
I mean, that's beautiful, man. I mean, you're taking humanity and you're leveling up, with every visit.
Man, you know what? I'm really so excited because I'm first going to give you the little story. We first met at 3-on-3, and we never. This is our first time really actually talking. Yeah. Usually it was like real quick, and he just shoot my lights out. You know what I mean? Hey, if you see this guy in the gym, don't let him shoot. All right, don't let him get hot. He's sriracha. You know what I'm saying? But it was just really good to really actually let us come down and actually talk, because I knew something. Like when I talked to you, I said, man, something about this man. I was like, okay, all right. Then you told me what you do. I was like, and then you told me like little stuff, and I was like, okay, we have a lot more in common than I you know what I'm saying. But basketball is something that it can bring you together. So
brought us together. Yeah.
And I was just came with this idea, and I was like, man, what if you do something like with a basketball self-awareness thing? And I'm just
Hey, you can put it out there. I'm a firm believer of seeds, man, planting seeds.
Right.
So I'm very right brain. I got that creative juice, and I can, I'll take anything, and I'm willing to try. To help improve and better, society, man, and the human experience. So
man, I was just thinking about that, but like, if you need anything, because we talk off camera, but there's so much stuff that they have for us. Man.
Yeah.
And I really get so upset because people always say, "Well, how'd you do this? How you do that?" I mean, it's a grind.
Yeah.
It's a grind, but nowadays we got more resources than we ever had, right?
Yep.
And I think we need to utilize them. And the same thing is happening with. We were talking about on my mama. The same thing is happening with business. Yeah. They're doing a whole bunch of things for females, but not necessarily black men. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But we need to start taking advantage
Yeah.
and let them know that there is a cause. Like we want to do this stuff. You feel me?
Yeah.
And we want to go legit. And that's
Yes.
another thing. But I'm for real. Like we need to get together. There's some things that we can that can help us out financially.
Yeah. Yeah.
And but man, I appreciate you coming out, man.
I appreciate
Thank you so much, man. Hey, I want to say Happy New Year's. Anything you want to tell them about the New Year? What should they come in with this New Year?
Man, it's funny you say that because here's something I want you to think about. This is going to be somewhat scientific, but it's very raw. There's a part of your brain called the amygdala. It's the size of an almond, and it's responsible for your flight, fight, and freeze. And when there's something that happens in your life, this part of your brain, it starts to react. And it's a point where you have high anxiety or you have no anxiety or X, Y, and Z. I want you to think about how you're going to be wired for 2024. Are you going to fight? Are you going to fly? Or are you going to freeze? It's going to make the difference on how the results are going to be in your new year. But most importantly, outside of that, man, just find any and everything to be grateful for. Gratitude and complaining don't exist in the same room. So just work on being grateful, finding the beautiful parts of life. I appreciate you.
Good. How can they find you, man? How can they find you? I
am on Instagram, Nkoy, Nqoy, Nkoy20. That's my Instagram name. Nkoy means never quit on yourself. Facebook, Kevin Coates. That's my full name. And those are the two main platforms that I use, man. And my number and everything's on there, so reach out, send me an email, whatever. And I love to meet people. I love to sit and learn about people. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Hey man, all right man, it's a wrap, man. Happy New Year's.